Hello! Today I will be teaching you how to solve a skewb. A skewb is kind of like a 3x3, but without the edges. Or you could also compare this to a 2x2 as well, much like this guy here. But a skewb is kind of like a 3x3, but without edge pieces, and it's just got corners and centers. You could also compare this to a 2x2 with centers, if you would like, but I'm just going to go based off of the 3x3. And so, skewb is also one of those events where not many people like to do it, many people like to do it, but some just absolutely despise it. And this tutorial is going to help you, this is going to teach you how to solve one of these. Obviously, you're not going to need this guy, so I'm just going to put him away for now. You could use it if you want to, if you're just learning, but I would highly recommend against it. And obviously you do not need the mat, but I'm going to go ahead and use it, provided by Speedcubeshop. I actually bought this, sorry. I am not sponsored by Speedcubeshop, this is not an advertisement. But here is how to solve the skewb. And the skewb I am using is the X-Man Wingy V2. I will have a link in the description if you wish to purchase something like this. But this is what I'm going to use to help you solve it, since this is the only one that I have currently. Kicking things off, there's some notation that you need to learn for skewb. And for notation, you're going to focus around one corner. So it is kind of like a 3x3 notation, where it's R, R prime, L, or L prime, L, U, U prime, B, B prime, D, D prime. Except for there is no D, because the turns are so weird where it rotates the bottom here too, because you cannot move it up and down like that, like on a 3x3. And so you're going to focus around one corner, and you're going to go like this. R, R prime, L, U, U prime, and then B, B prime. And so that's the notation for a skewb. Kicking things off, I just did a random hand scramble here, but as you can see on a skewb, you're not always going to have white opposite of yellow, like you would on a 3x3 where white is opposite of yellow no matter what. Unless if you did something with the caps for the centers. But white is not always going to be opposite of yellow. And that is going to be part of the solution too. But as of right now, we are going to leave yellow out of it and just focus on the white. And to solve the white, you will need to solve it much like the first layer on a 3x3, except without the edges, obviously. But you will need the colors to line up, and obviously you won't have the centers lining up half the time either. But you'll need to line up the corners, like red on one side, blue on one side, orange and green, and then have white on your base here. And so, starting things off, that's how we're going to do it. I have an easy one here for the first one, because I have nothing down here. But if you have one where it is either facing you or on the left, you're going to actually, if it's facing you, you're going to put it on the left, and you're going to move it down like that. And as you can see, he is down here now. And I do not have many easy ones right now, but I am going to use this guy in the corner. And for this guy, he's in the bottom, so I'm going to move him up. And then I'm going to move him back down in the correct position with that one. And as you can see, I have this one right here, which will be an easy insert there. And then I have this one, which is an easy insert there as well. Sometimes you might not have pretty ones like that, like this one, which is facing the top there. This one isn't all too bad. Obviously, any center could be up here, but once again, we're going to ignore the centers other than the white one for now. But it might be on the top like this, in which case you're going to find your open slot, and you're going to rotate it like that, So it's still in the top layer, but now it is facing either the left or right. And you're going to rotate that corner to where it's like this and ready to go in, like that. And then you're going to move this other guy in just like that. And so now for the next step, you are going to solve the entirety of the top layer, the top yellow layer. Now this step is kind of like the OLL here, where you solve all of that before you move on to the edges, which in this case would be centers. But we'll get onto that part later. And there are certain ones like this, like there are easier ones. Not like this guy. This guy's pretty difficult, but there are some easy ones, such as this guy here, where you have two headlights pointing that way, one facing you and the other facing away, and you have the center right up front here. In this case, you're going to do what is known as a sledgehammer. If you don't know what a sledgehammer is, it is often used in cubes, not like this one where they move wonky, but where they go R-U-L, yeah, like that. And this one is where you go R prime, F prime, R, or sorry, R prime, F, R, F prime. And so you're going to do that, except for you're going to focus around one of these corners. And so here we're going to do R prime. This would technically be our F, but we're just going to say that's the F prime, or we're going to say that's the F. And then you're going to go to R, F prime. And as you can see, now you have the top solved. Here's another easy one where it is on the left side, but in this case, we're going to be doing what is known as a hedge slammer, which this is a reverse sledgehammer, in which it goes like this. F, R prime, F prime, R. Much like that. And so we're going to do the same thing on here. And this one I advise putting two fingers up here, whereas in the last one I had 3 fingers like that. I advise putting 2 fingers up here, going like this. F, R prime, F prime, R. And then as you can see, now you have the whole top solved there. In this case, the corners are solved, but the yellow center is not up top, instead as the blue one where it needs to be down here. In this case, we're going to hold the yellow center at the back, like that, and we're going to do a sledgehammer, rotate the cube 180 degrees, and do another sledgehammer. So like this. R prime, F, R, F prime. And now if we rotate it like this, as you can see, it's the same case as earlier, where we just do a sledgehammer. So you go R prime, F, R, F prime. And as you can see, now you have the whole top solved. There are other cases too, much like this guy, where you have 2 up front and 2 facing the sides there. And it kind of resembles this case right here for OLL. If you don't know it, it goes like this. But that's not what we're going to be focusing on. And as you can see, for this one, I have the yellow center on the right, in which I am going to hold it like this, where it is facing this corner is facing the left, these 2 are facing up, and the right one is facing me. And in this case, I'm going to do a sledgehammer, where it goes like this, right? And then I'm going to rotate, and now we have already had this case, and we're going to do a hedge slammer. So we're going to do it just like earlier. Just like that. Now we have the top solved. Obviously, you won't have the center solved here most of the time, but sometimes you will. Here's another really easy one right here, where you have the same case as before, with the 2 headlights facing that way and these 2 facing opposite ways, but the yellow center is on top. In this case, you are going to hold it like this, where you would for a hedge slammer, but now you are going to do 2 sledgehammers back to back. No rotations like in the other ones. And so we're going to do a sledgehammer. And as you can see, it is already set up for another one. And so we're going to do it again. And then just like that, the yellow is solved there. Sometimes you might have a case like this, where it is you remember the one where we went and did a sledgehammer on this side, rotated, and did a hedge slammer? That's like this guy, except for we're going to do the opposite. We're going to do a hedge slammer, rotate, and then do a sledgehammer. And so here we go. I'm going to do hedge slammer. And as you can see, we can just rotate and it's set up there. Now let's do another sledgehammer. And then as you can see, there is the yellow solved right there. Here's another case just like one we did earlier, except the center is not here and instead is on the inside connected to this corner right here. For this one, we are going to hold it like this, where there's one corner facing the right and one facing me, just like that last one. And we're going to do a hedge slammer, rotate, and do the 2 sledgehammers again. And so here's what that looks like. You do a hedge slammer. As you can see, the yellow's on top and the corners are not on top either. And so if you recall to that last case, we're going to do the same thing. So 1 sledgehammer and 2 sledgehammer. As you can see, there's the white there, or the yellow, sorry. Here's another case here where you have the corners all misaligned once again, and then you have the yellow center on the front. In this case, we are going to 2-look it, or much like in the beginner method for 3x3, like most people for dot cases, when they start to learn 2-look OLO, they would go like this, and then do another algorithm there to solve off the yellow. And some people 3-look the dots, but I 2-look the dots sometimes. And so we're going to do the same thing, but with this one. And in this case, I'm going to do a sledgehammer, like we would here. Have this on the right side. Do a sledgehammer. And then now you can see we have it like this. And we're going to do that case again, where we hold the yellow at the back. Do another sledgehammer. Rotate 180 degrees. As you can see, we have it set up. And do another sledgehammer there. And there you go, the yellow is solved on that one. Here we have 2 more cases. This one here, which in this one, we are going to, whoa, sorry about that. We are going to do a sledgehammer, rotate, and then do the 2 sledgehammers once again. So with this one, we're going to have the center facing us, as well as this corner here. This one facing to the left, and these 2 facing up. And in this case, we're going to do a sledgehammer, rotate, and do 2 more. As you can see, that solved the yellow there. Here's our last one here, and this is when you have these 2 on the sides, and these 2 solved, but the center is up top. In this case, we are going to do a 2-look for this one, and then we are going to solve from there. So for this one, we're actually going to do a sledgehammer, and then as you can see, this is in the back, and this is actually another case that I forgot to tell you, but here it is now, I guess, where we're going to solve that there, and then we're going to solve that from there as well. Put this one in the back. Do that there, and then another sledgehammer, and then there's the yellow at the top there. The final step, once you have solved both the yellow and the white faces, are to fix the centers. And so for this case, we are going, if you remember what we did for the yellow center there, where there was a different center up top, we put the yellow in the back, and then we solved it from there. That is what we're going to do for the centers. And so you're going to hold it on its side like this, and you're going to put like in this case I have green and blue, where green goes opposite, and then red goes here, blue goes here. This is much like the U-perms we have on 3x3, where he needs to go here, he needs to go here, and he needs to go here, in which we just solve it like that. But in this case, we are not going to solve it like that. Instead, we're going to do those two sledgehammers and a 180 in between. And so we're going to hold it so it goes like this, where the other ones that don't need to be solved are on the back and the top. And so the blue needs to go here, red needs to go here, green needs to go there. So now we're going to do a sledgehammer, rotate it 180 degrees, and then do another sledgehammer there. And as you can see, that has solved all the edges there. The same thing applies for this case, where orange needs to go here, blue needs to go here, and red needs to go here. It's essentially the opposite of that last one. And so the same thing applies here. You're going to hold it on its side and make sure the ones that need to be solved are on the back and the top. And you're going to do two sledgehammers again. So you're going to do one sledgehammer, rotate it 180 degrees, and then do another sledgehammer. As you can see, that has solved the centers there. Now for this case, this is where the centers are swapped. These two are flipped, as well as these two here. This is known as an H-perm, where obviously these two need to switch and these two need to switch. And so here's how we solve that. We're going to hold it on its side like this, but also focus on a corner. And you're going to hold it to where it needs to go like this. The unsolved ones are like this. And we're going to do this. R, U, R prime, U prime, R, U prime. Hold it like this and do a sledge. I'm sorry, I did that algorithm wrong. Let me do it again here. Sorry about that. Let's do that one more time here. All right, so we're going to do R, U, R, U prime, R prime, U prime. And now, as you can see, we have this white solved again. But now if you look around, you see we have to do a sledgehammer once again. And so once we do this sledgehammer here, that is going to solve the cube. And so now for this case, we are going to do it the way I was taught, Skewb, in which you can see these two need to swap, these two need to swap as well. This is much like this case on the 3x3, these two need to swap, and these two need to swap. But we are going to go ahead and do that really quick here on Skewb. So now for this way, we're going to do what we did for that U-perm there, where we're going to do a sledge, flip, and sledge. And then we're going to do that one more time and finding the opposite one. So right here, we're going to do a sledge, just like that. And now once you've done that, you're going to flip it like that, do another sledge. And as you can see, we have that U-perm from earlier. And so we're going to hold it like this with the other two right here on top and back. And we're going to do that one last time. And there you go. You have officially solved your first Skewb. If there's anything that I have missed, feel free to say it in the comments section. But other than that, you have solved your first Skewb. So I hope you liked this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Now you officially know how to solve Skewb. If you really want to get fast at Skewb, you will need to learn how to solve it color neutral. So by that I mean solving it like this, where you see you have 2 red or 2 green. And in this case, I'm just going to use red here. But that is where you would solve it like this, color neutrally. And then you would solve it the orange next, because I used red. And then solve the rest of the centers afterwards, just like that. And so you could learn how to do color neutral as well, but that also takes practice. as well as solving a Skewb pretty fast. I mean, obviously, I am terrible as compared to some other people, but there's a tutorial on how to solve a Skewb. I hope you enjoyed. Have a good one.